What's up, internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Today, we're going over episode number 3 of Big Brother Canada 11. And, well, it kind of sucked. If we're being real honest here, it wasn't good. It was not good. We had a few things that were entertaining. We'll kind of go over, but for the most part, it felt like a lot of fluff. We had more farting on this episode and fart talk on the dailies than we've actually gotten game talk. It's been a mess this season, and I don't know what else they can do to really turn this around now at this point. The first 2 episodes were great. I had a lot of fun watching them. These dailies have just been getting worse and worse. It's like there's no through line. There's no context to these dailies. They're just these random clips they're cherry picking out, but then they're not even good clips. And then when we do get like a large chunk of time, they're these like fluff pieces, like an hour-long werewolf game or an hour-long double date. Like, we don't want that stuff. We don't want to see them working out, cooking, complaining about slop. We want to see them lying, manipulating, having conversations with other house guests. And we're just not getting enough of that this season. And I don't know why this is the direction they think is going to be what helps their show moving forward. But it is what it is. And I'm still watching. I'm hoping for the best. And fingers crossed that a miracle can happen to really turn this season around. Listen, if you look back to the first few weeks of Big Brother 24, it wasn't great either. It really wasn't great either. But the big difference was we had the live feeds that kind of kept us involved in the real story to see what was really going on in that house and gave us hope. And then eventually we got to watch that take place. We won't have that with this. So it's really going to be interesting to see how it all turns around. But let's jump into the episode and what went down. We left off with last episode, Santina being the HOH, Renee being the dead last nominee. We need to find out 2 more nominees for today's episode. We saw Renee being upset that she's on the block, ended up talking to Hope, who gave her hope in that just because she's on the block week 1 doesn't mean she can't win. Look at somebody like Kevin Jacobs. He was on the block week 1 and won, so he was trying to kind of pump her up a little bit. That seemed to make her feel better. Santina mentions that she wasn't really connecting with the people in the other room, which is definitely a thing. When they have separate rooms, you end up being more connected to the people you're sharing the room with, because when you have to go to bed, those are the people in your room. Those are the people you're having late night chats with. Those are the people that, you know, when you're done getting your shower and you head to your room, that's who you're getting changed around and just how you're spending a lot of time with. So it does make sense that she wouldn't feel connected to the people that are in the other room. One thing that was different, though, this year is Big Brother actually assigned their rooms to them. They didn't get to pick which room they were in. And I saw a lot of things online where it's like, oh, all the guys are in one room and all the girls are in the other. This is terrible. That's not true. We actually got a little bit more detail on who's in which room. I knew from watching the dailies that wasn't true because I knew Ty was in the same room as Vanessa and Shania. So what it seems like is that it's Dan, Daniel, JM, Anika, Claudia, and Hope in one room. Then you have Rob, Zach, Ty, Kuzi, Shania, and Vanessa in the other one. So it seems like that's how it's broken up. Obviously, right now, Santina is in the HOH room. So that makes up all of our players. Zach fills in the other guys, Ty, Rob, and Jonathan, about what JM said about going like after all the other guys. And they were really interested in that. He's like, yeah, I can't believe he just said that, like, right out to me. But he's like, look, he likes me, right? Like, he's in love with me. He's not gonna lie to me. He thinks I'm cool, but you guys, not cool. So he would be going after those guys, which are the people that Zach wants to work with. So not a great person to tell in the end, JM. They did talk about it, like, hey, maybe we put Dan up, right? Because he's not really with us. And if we put him up on the block, they'll think, hey, the guys aren't working together. So it's kind of that scapegoat for them. Zach didn't really like that idea because he felt like, he can kind of trust Zach and he's got a good relationship with Zach. You don't want to see people that you have a good relationship with going up on the block being in danger. So he tried to kind of push back on that one. He clearly wanted JM to go up and what's funny is because, again, JM wouldn't necessarily, I don't think, go after Zach. He would be going after the other guys. But this is kind of Zach's way of being like, look, this guy's playing hard. I don't want that around. And it kind of makes me look good to the other guys. So I think that's the end he's going with it there. We had the HOH room reveal and the Wendy's segment, which, listen, I normally wouldn't talk about the Wendy's segment, but we did get a little bit of a new thing this year. So there are these things called Wendy's points. I assume they're going to be called Wendy's points. I don't know. It seems like it goes hand in hand with Wendy's. I don't even know 100% how you earn these points other than maybe getting chosen by the HOH to go with you to Wendy's, which if that's the way you earn it, doesn't seem fair. It seems like that just means the HOH can choose who they want the points to go to. But these points will eventually be used later in the game for something. I don't know. Could be a free Frosty and a 5-piece nugget. We have no idea. But that is something that we have to look forward to later on. JM actually is the one who gets chosen by Santina to go for Wendy's. This year it's like breakfast instead of being lunch or whatever. They have breakfast now. But she does, kind of ask him like, hey, what would you do if you were the HOH? And he's like, well, I would nominate guys. Zach ends up pitching to Santina for JM to go up. Instead of calling him John Michael, though, several times he had to be corrected by her that it's not John Martin. He's like, listen, John Martin, he's got to go. John Martin is a cancer to this house. John Martin is getting everybody riled up. Like, we got to get rid of John Martin. She's like, you mean John Michael? Yeah, that guy. So John Martin. So that was kind of a thing. After the Wendy's kind of date, whatever you call it, right? The Wendy's meal, JM started to get a little nervous, and he ends up telling Hope, he's like, hey, like, I don't know if I can trust Santina. Like, she might put me up, which 100% would have gotten back to Santina. Hope would have ended up telling, Ty or Zach, and one of them would have filled her in for it. We don't see that happen, but it definitely would have. We also saw on the dailies, he had a very similar conversation with Kuzi where he was like, I don't feel good with Santina. She might put me up. She puts me up. I'm going to blow up, make good TV, blah, blah, blah. Which did get back to Santina. We saw that conversation from Kuzi where she just threw him right under the bus. Other than that, we did get like 2 showmances that were kind of highlighted. One, which is legitimate, Claudia and Ty. That is very much something that seems like it's going to develop into an actual showmance. Even if it's not a full-on showmance, they are very much connected. They're very much trying to work together. Them along with Jonathan. This wasn't really covered on the show, but Claudia and Jonathan have a very good relationship. Both being from the East Coast, they get along really well. They talk a lot of game together. And then Ty and Jonathan get along really well as along with that. So each of these members all have good connections to each other. And it's a very strong trio that I think needs to be watched out for going forward in this game. And then the other showmance that was kind of touched upon was Rob and Santina. Now listen, this isn't legitimate anymore. It may have been at one point where it was like flirty and fun. Santina doesn't trust Rob. Rob doesn't trust Zach and the boys that much. He kind of trusts Jonathan still, but the boys don't really trust Rob. There's lots of friction going on. Rob is definitely on the outside of the guys alliance. Santina even mentioned on one of the dailies how like, like JM and Dan, they would probably come after like R4, but that's including Rob and but our main 3, me, you, and Zach, right? She's talking to Ty at the moment. So that's another kind of 3 pairing to look out for. Ty's in a lot of threesomes here, so look out for Ty. Anika is annoyed by the whole Claudia showmance because she actually wants Claudia out, and she mentions a bunch of people that she thinks are just not someone she wants to work with and would rather see go. Renee, Dan, John Michael, and Claudia are all people on Anika's list, which, Anika, those are probably the people you want to be working with more than the people you want to be targeting. But Kuzi tries to tell her this. She's like, you realize there's a guys alliance kind of forming, which at the moment, yes, on the feeds, or not the feeds, on the episode, it seems like there's a guys alliance forming. On the dailies, at least the information that I'm able to piece together, there are major cracks in that guys alliance, and it's already kind of drifting apart. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all ends up playing out. But Claudia does end up going to Santina, throwing JM on the bus. Again, just trying to keep herself alive at this point. She was going to put JM up right away as the nominee, but Zach gets to her, and Zach's like, listen, it's probably better if you backdoor him. It's not a better idea for her, because that's just more blood on her hands. It means it's another person that she has to nominate, meaning she would have to nominate 3 people this week if she went through with a backdoor. So it's not in her best interest to do this. It more is in Zach's best interest. But again, this is who she's deciding to play with. He made a pretty good argument. One thing that's really great about Zach is everybody kind of gets his game, right? Like they can see it. But also, it seems like he's got enough relationships with people where it doesn't really seem to matter. Because he's got good relationships with Jonathan, who says he sees his game. He's got a good relationship with Ty. He's got a good relationship with Santina. I don't know what his relationship's going to be like with Claudia, but because he's got a good relationship with Jonathan and Ty, Claudia probably isn't going to go after Zach because they're going to tell her not to, because he's a number for them right now. So, yes, people see how Zach's playing, but because they do trust him enough to be part of their group, he's a number for them. So I just don't see them taking a shot at him just let. He's for sure somebody who could go in a double eviction, a triple eviction, something like that. But for now, Zach's in a pretty good spot. Yes, he's very transparent in his gameplay sometimes. But one thing I really love that he does, and he did a great job with it with Santina, is where he will come and he'll say like, hey, you know what? Probably best if you backdoor JM. Listen, but I don't want to tell you what to do, right? Like this is, your HOA. I'm just advising, right? And if I'm overstepping or if I'm mansplaining, right? Like stop me, right? Like let me know. But he makes her feel valued and listened to while also pushing his agenda. And it's a very fine line there that he walks. And it seems to be working wonders, especially on Santina, where he can get her to do what he wants, but make her feel like it was a decision they came to together. It's something that Derek on BB16 used to do all the time. And I see it in Zach, and it's really impressive. The only thing is, people didn't really realize that Derek was doing it. The only one who really ended up catching on to Derek were people that would end up getting voted out that week because he would realize they caught on to him. So that's something that Zach hasn't mastered just yet, but he's playing really well so far. Eventually after that, we do get the reveal of the nominees. Before the nominees, though, it is revealed the whole safety vote thing. At this point, the players, they had no clue about, the insurance protection veto, whatever they're calling it. I don't know. Bel Air, something. It's safety for nominations. None of the house knew about this. They made it all dramatic, and they called Vanessa to the diary room, which was weird because she's not HOH. So why Vanessa? I don't know. But Claudia ended up winning the safety. Not a huge surprise. If you're somebody who's been watching Big Brother Canada for a long time, you know that the East Coast votes hard. It was very likely that it was either going to be Claudia or Jonathan who won this first vote. I would even say it's probably really likely that Jonathan wins the second vote, although he doesn't need it, because here's the problem with the safety. Claudia can't win it now ever again, and she didn't need it this week. It was a non-factor. She wasn't going to be nominated. So it was kind of a waste for Claudia to win this. There was no reason for her to have to win it. But now that she's won it, she can't win it again. So if she needs safety 3 weeks from now and the safety's still up, tough. You won it already, Claudia. You're not an option. So this is where, the fans need to remember you have to be a little strategic. You have to think like a player. You can't be just thinking like a fan, like, oh, I like this person, so I'm going to vote for them. You have to remember, I like this person. Do I want to vote for them right now? Because do they need it? Is it going to put a target on their back? Is it going to be a wasted vote? Like you really have to think it through. So yeah, Claudia ends up being saved. She can't be nominated at all this week. But the nominees do end up being Anika and Dan, and it does seem like the plan right now is still just to backdoor JM. And that's where we end the episode. Veto will end up being in tomorrow's episode, or tonight's episode as you're watching this. So yeah, that was pretty much it for the episode. The rest was fluff. At one point they were handcuffed together and Hope was farting in front of Renee. It was bad. It was overall a bad episode. I was able to cover that pretty quickly as far as the big developments that happened on this episode. Other than that, we can kind of move to a little bit more spoiler territory. So if you don't want the spoilers from kind of stuff from the dailies, I'm going to bring up another screen that's going to have a lot of that. So here's your little spoiler warning in 3, 2, 1. Here's kind of our alliance chart. This is where I kind of have broken up the house into how I kind of see it for the most part. If you look up here in the top, this 5-person alliance with Claudia, Santina, Ty, Jonathan, and Zach, I don't think it's actually anything that's official right now. We have no clue. There could be official alliances that have taken place, but we're not 100% sure on all of that information because we're only getting limited stuff. But that 5-person group right there, even if it's not official, the bonds that I've seen and how I've seen some different people play, that could be a really strong 5-person group. Kuzi could even maybe sneak in there because of her strong relationship with Ty, but I don't know if the others are feeling that way about Kuzi or not. Would she end up being included in that? I don't know. There are 3 threesomes. So you got Ty, Jonathan, and Zach. That's kind of one. Ty, Jonathan, and Claudia. Ty, Santina, and Zach is another one. Ty, pretty much in all those threesome there, so he's in a really good spot with that. Jonathan kind of has some good throughway in there too. But it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. We do have the group of 5 guys over there, but Roberto and Zach have a lot of tension going on right now. Like I said earlier with the showmance with Roberto and Santina, it's a non-factor now at this point in the game. Even though they're portraying it on the episode, they're done for. That's not even a legitimate thing. And in fact, he's very much on the outs of that group. He's got probably the best relationship with Jonathan. But even then, I could see Roberto being a target for next week, where they're like, you know what? Let's just get rid of him now. It could be him. It could be Dan. Either way, those could definitely be somebody where it's like, hey, we can just like put up this sacrificial lamb. And if we get rid of him, show everybody we're willing to do that. Maybe it takes some heat off of Zach, Jonathan, and Ty. So that could be something to look out for as well. Hope is seen as a liability to the other 3 guys as well. So he's someone that, yeah, while he's a number right now, probably won't be around for the long haul, because I think they'd much rather keep around someone like an Anika, who's not going to win anything, a Renee, who's came in dead last already. They'd rather keep somebody like that around than someone like a Hope, who is maybe emotional, or someone they think is going to end up spilling information. Let's say, Santina wins and Hope spills that there's a guys alliance because she's already gotten some weird vibes from him already. Then she ends up turning on the guys. So don't be shocked if Hope and Roberto end up out the door sooner than later. As far as kind of the other 5 go, like Anika, Shania, Daniel, Vanessa, Kuzi, no clue where they stand really with people. Kuzi and Ty have a good relationship, but like I said, I don't know if she's really able to get in with the group of 5. If she can, she's in a great spot. Her and Vanessa seem to have a good relationship. They actually talked on this episode about trying to get like a girls alliance thing going, but I don't think there's any way that gets steam behind it, especially when you're working with somebody like Anika, who seems to just throw everybody onto the bus. Shania seems like she's kind of more likely to work with some of the guys. That's actually the showmance to look out for with Roberto and Shania. They've been having some looks at each other. At one point on the dailies, she couldn't take her eyes off Roberto. She was following him all the way around. Would not take her eyes off of him. So keep an eye out for that. Though again, with that, there was some farting talk with that, because Jonathan says, you know what, I like Shania. She's real, right? She's not afraid to burp and fart. And Roberto goes, oh yeah. I mean, that's not really my vibe, but so listen, ladies, Roberto, he's not a fan of farting. Keep that in mind. As far as Renee, I think she's more likely to end up working with some of the guys, but I don't know where she stands as far as anybody else. Doesn't seem like she has anything real solid. Dan as well, he's kind of being like with the guys, but like they don't like him, right? Like they're not like, yeah, you're with us, buddy. Like he's just there. So I would probably see him maybe as the boot next week. Roberto could even be someone who goes not the week after that, but the week after that. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Dan and then Roberto as the next two people out of the house. And then the rest of the guys can kind of just run things, maybe get rid of Hope at some point, run it with the girls because they feel confident that they can, work around that. Zach would probably be the one to go out of that group first, where Jonathan, Ty, Claudia, and Santina probably would work together a little bit more, eventually cut Santina. There's so many different ways all this can go. You have to consider the safety that goes in there as well. Huge cracks could form at some point in any of these alliances, because a lot of these players are messy. So at least we have that to look forward to give us some entertainment, because we're not getting it on the dailies. We're not really getting it on the episodes. I don't know where we're going to get it, but hopefully we start getting it soon. Like I said, those first two episodes were great. This third episode just felt like it was empty. And I don't know if that's also just because the dailies aren't giving us enough either, and it feels like we're not really able to piece everything together we want to, but it just does not feel the same as years past, which is a shame, because this cast seems like a lot of fun. This house is one of the best houses they've had in all of Big Brother history, not just Big Brother Canada. So it's really kind of a shame to see it going this way. I hope it can turn around. And yeah, let me know in the comments down below. What did you think of the episode? What do you think of everything that's going on with the show right now, with the dailies and the episodes and all of this? Who you liking, who you don't? Who do you think's going to get evicted? Will it be John Michael? Will it be Dan? I think Renee's pretty safe. It seems like John Michael 100% is the backdoor target. We also did get a little inkling that there was a blow up with Vanessa at the very least after the nomination. So I'm interested to see how that all plays out, if it's ever played out. I would almost wager we won't see it on the dailies. We won't see it on the episode, and it will never get talked about. I just can see that happening. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think of everything going on? If you are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, smash that like button, hit that notification bell so you never miss a video, you never miss a stream, and I will see you next time.